Hello everyone, welcome back.
Today's stories are from our /tales from TechSupport. Story 1. HR downplayed my work. Now their software is barely working. So, this happened during appraisal season a few months ago. HR told me that I didn't deserve a good raise because apparently, all I did throughout the year was bug fixes and improvements. They said I hadn't delivered many features, and features are what actually matter for a raise. Well, fast forward to now. Since I got the hint, I've been focusing on feature development only, just like they wanted. You know what I'm not doing anymore? Improving and maintaining their system. And guess what? Their software is breaking down more and more, becoming harder to use, with all sorts of bugs they conveniently ignored. HR recently complained, saying things weren't working properly. All I could do was smile and remind them that I'm focused on the features now, just like you said. It's funny how suddenly bug fixes and improvements seem important again. Maybe this will teach them not to undervalue the importance of maintenance next time. Story 2. Teenager tried to insist the drawing in his handwriting was done by the computer. Years ago, while doing tech support at a school, I helped a teenager with an issue on his laptop. His assignment was due that day, but the file was corrupted, so his teacher sent him over to the help desk to get it sorted out. I tried to open the file in Word, no dice. I renamed the file to .zip, because .docx files are just zip files with the contents inside, still no dice. I opened the file in Notepad to view the raw contents, and in the header, I saw the letters PNG, so I renamed assignment.docx to assignment.png. Staring back at me was the kid's name, scrawled in his own handwriting using the tiny netbook touchpad, in orange. I turned the laptop around and said, "Your document was actually a picture with your name written on it. You'll need to actually do the assignment instead of lying to your teacher." The kid then said to me, "I didn't do that. The computer must have done that because I didn't. I just did my assignment, and next time I opened the document, it wouldn't open." I said, "So the computer wrote your name, in your handwriting, in this particular shade of orange, and renamed it to a Word document, overwriting your already completed assignment?" They shrugged and said, "Yeah." So I said, "Here's your laptop, head back to class, and start working on your assignment. I'll let your teacher know." Story 3. They always forget about the IT department. This one is from a few years ago, but I was reminded of it today, so figured I'd share. My desk used to be near our help desk, which was handy because they could easily come around the corner and ask me questions as needed. It was also a great spot for listening for drama going on. One day I'm working and hear one of our guys talking with a client. Everything was going fine until I hear him ask, "Wait, aren't we in the same building? Call me back later if you're still having issues." He hung up and let us know that his caller had said her building was being evacuated because of a bomb threat. Then he realized that we're all in the same building. No one had alerted us yet. We were standing there trying to figure out if we should evacuate too when I look over and see people streaming out of the fire exit just outside our office and suggested we do the same. Everything ended up fine. It was a false alarm, but one of our next projects was setting up alert software that would notify people on their desk phones if an issue like that came up again. Story 4. Users have been lying since the beginning of IT. This tale is from the 80s. I have a good friend, Rick, who worked IT at an airport with an old computer system. This computer system was not user-friendly. Anything that you wanted to do required a string of commands. Some commands made sense, while others you just had to memorize because you would never figure it out on your own. Rick got a call from two women having an issue. They had to get a certain report, and the input they were using wasn't working. He recognized that report is one of the aforementioned the commands don't make sense, but you get the report you want. He told them all this and told them the command to put in exactly. They put him on hold, and when they came back, said, "No, it's not working." This shocked him because if you have the command right, it works 100%. So Rick had them read the input back to him. They did, and he verified that it was correct, but they said that it still wasn't working. After a few more minutes of troubleshooting where they were getting more and more irate, he finally ran the report himself and sent it over to them by courier. And then another coworker called. He and Rick were good friends, and this guy had been working in the same office as the two women and had watched them try to get this report. He told Rick, Do you know what they were doing when they put you on hold? They had written down the input but talked among themselves and decided that you didn't know what you were talking about. So instead of trying the command you told them to try, they entered their own commands. And when you had them read back the input, they didn't read what was on their screen. They only read back what they had written down, ignoring the fact that their screen commands were completely different because you obviously didn't know the report we wanted. Why call IT if you're going to ignore everything they say and then lie about what you're doing? I guess they got their report in the end, but it took them a lot longer than if they had just followed directions in the first place. Story 5. When your invoice says goods do not pass title until payment is made in full, we mean it. At a small MSP I used to work at quite a while ago, we did an upgrade of computers for a small business that involved us supplying and installing, if I recall correctly, 5 new computers and monitors. Our invoices had a standard retention of title clause, which basically says that although we have supplied you goods, until payment is made in full, ownership is retained by us. Their invoice was due without payment being made. Several follow-ups were made with standard excuses like, "Sorry, we forgot, we thought that was due next month, the check is in the mail, I thought we paid that," etc. After over 3 months overdue, the owner of the MSP at the time basically said he would make one more call and attempt to receive payment. If they didn't pay immediately, we would just go down there and recover our goods. He made the call. Predictably, we got another excuse why they didn't make payment. "Right," he says, "let's go get our stuff back. When we get there, just start unplugging our computers and pack them up into the car," he says. So we arrive on site to the clients. Someone at the client mentions, "Oh, I didn't realize we had you booked to see us today." "You don't?" says my boss. As instructed, we just start recovering our equipment. And by recover, I mean just unplugging from power and removing it from their office with no regard to what they were currently working on at the time, shutting down the computers properly, or allowing them a chance to save their work. "What are you guys doing?" one of the staff of the client asked. My boss responds, "You guys are over 3 months overdue on your invoice. We have tried to get payment on multiple occasions, but still haven't." One of the staff from the client makes a call to their boss. Eventually, the phone is handed over to my boss. He says, "If you can get here in the next 10 minutes, which is how long it will take us to recover our goods, we'll return the computers." Amazingly, the boss of the client makes it within 10 minutes, cash in hand for the amount our invoice was outstanding. The cash is accepted by my boss, who instructs us to replace the PCs. We replace the PCs and leave. A payment receipt is emailed to the client, and this was the last we ever heard from them. Story 6. When a call out of the blue from Dell wasn't a sales call. Way back, I was working on the service desk for a large organization that almost exclusively used Dell for their end-user hardware. On a fairly quiet day, I get a call. "Dell, hi, this is, name, from Dell. Have I come through to, company name SIT department?" Me, "Yes, this is the service desk at, company name." "Dell, I was just calling to see, how often do you refresh your hardware, specifically monitors?" At this point, I'm pretty sure it's a sales call, but it's fairly quiet, and if I am on the phone, I can't get another call, so I play along. Me, usually 4 years, but it can be more or less than that. Dell, okay. So you wouldn't dispose of one after, say, 2 or 3 months? Me, very unlikely. Dell, and what do you do with your disposed IT equipment? Me, we use a computer recycler who collects it. I don't know what they do with it after that. Dell, So the reason I'm asking is someone has made a warranty claim for a faulty Dell screen. When I ran the service tag, serial number, through our system, I can see we sold it in a bulk order to, company name, about 3 months ago. Looks like you also purchased a few extra years warranty on it too. The person who put through the claim mentions they purchased it new on eBay about a month ago. Me, Yeah, that is a bit strange. Dell, yeah, just wanted to see what is happening as it does seem a little out of the ordinary you would dispose of a screen so soon, especially with the extra warranty. Me, if you can give me the service tag, I'll check our CMDB. That should confirm if it has been retired or not. I get and run the service tag in our CMDB. Me, yep, it's showing as it's an active asset, i.e., not disposed of. We got it about 3 months ago, and it should be in our IT storeroom ready for deployment right now. What I'll do is log a ticket, noting the service tag, with the team that handles purchases and find out what happened. I log the ticket, we exchange reference numbers, and end the call. Then I basically just forget about it. A week or so later, an immediate termination request is put through for one of the other IT guys. We were told he no longer works for our company, and he left very suddenly without explanation. Later on, I find out through the grapevine he was fired for theft of company property. Basically, he stole a new Dell monitor from the IT storeroom that was intended for stock on hand and sold it as new on eBay. The monitor had a fault, and the purchaser on eBay logged a warranty claim directly with Dell using the eBay purchase record as her proof of purchase. The seller's eBay account belonged to the person who stole the monitor, and that's how he got caught. Story 7. I find it ridiculous you don't carry spare laptop power supplies everywhere. I get a call direct on my work cell phone well before my regular start time. Although it's before my start time, I usually answer the call anyway in case it's because of a site outage, major incident, something like that. Caller: Hi, Spetty23, low-level manager, here. Other higher-level employee, gave me your number. I'm at, small, remote site, and I have forgotten my laptop power supply at home, and the battery in my laptop is completely flat. Can you let me know if we have any spare power supplies here? Me: No, I don't think we do. They all use desktops there. Caller: Okay, well, what can I do? I would have to drive all the way home to get my power supply. Me: Perhaps there is a spare computer you can use there? Or maybe you can ask around in case someone does have a laptop with a power supply you can borrow. Caller: No, I've already asked around, and no one has one. Everything I need is on my laptop. I really need this working. Me: You might have to drive back home to get your power supply then. Caller: I find it ridiculous that you don't have spares. Can you call my manager and let them know that I will be offline for a few hours whilst and they make this next part sound very exasperated, go home and get my power supply so I can work? Me: No, but seeing as you are on the phone to me now, I'm sure you can call them as you have access to a phone. Next story. r/MaliciousCompliance, story title: My late husband was the strong, silent type. This happened a few years back. At the time, I had been widowed for about 2 years. I missed my late husband a lot, so I kept his urn of ashes on my bedside table. I was in the habit of talking to him about my day and saying goodnight at bedtime. One day, the doorbell rang. Being the socially anxious person that I am, I ignored it. But they rang the bell 3 more times, and I became more annoyed than anxious and answered the door. To my great displeasure, there was a man at my door who wanted to talk about the state of the gutters and how desperately they needed to be cleaned. How convenient that this man was willing to do the unpleasant job of cleaning the gutters for $250. It should be noted that I lived in a row home at the time, with one eaves trough that went across the edge of the roof connecting all the units and one downspout. I tried to politely decline, but he kept up with his pre-programmed speech and insisted he needed to speak with the man of the house. Cue the malicious compliance. I leaned back into the house and called my husband's name. Mark. I shouted. There's a guy at the door. Wants to talk about cleaning our gutters. Obviously, my spouse did not respond. I shouted louder for my spouse, but again, he didn't hear me or come to the door. Apologizing to the man, I told him I would just run upstairs and get the man of the house. As promised, I ran upstairs and grabbed Mark. I returned to the front door, lamenting out loud to Mark how frustrating it is when he doesn't respond to me calling for him and how much I hate it when he gives me the silent treatment. Here's the man of the house, I exclaimed, holding the urn up like a game show prize. I continued my lament to the salesman, telling him that although Mark is a great listener, I'm saddened by how uninvolved he is with our children. He's the strong, silent type, I concluded to the now silent, bug-eyed salesman. I decided to increase my dedication to the bit, as well as the sales jerk's sexist discomfort, and allowed my tears to flow unfettered. Normally, I loathe crying in front of strangers, But the grief of losing the father of my children mixed with the rage at the arrogance and dismissive sexism led to me screaming about how much I hated my current life. There were tears and so many ugly crying, snot-sobbing noises coming out of me that I didn't even realize he had made a mad dash to get away from this hysterical woman and back to his truck. It was cathartic for me to release those pent-up emotions. Sometimes I still laugh about it with Mark. I know he would definitely be howling with laughter, as he was always quite the jokester.
That's it for now. See you in the next post.